Is the Iron 883 a good starter bike? Damn, this is a hard question to answer, mainly because it's so subjective to, you know, how big you are, how small you are, some experience, no experience. So when people ask me this question, you know, the first thing I ask them is, what type of riding do you want to do? Because, you know, if you're eventually wanting to get into sport bikes, then no, it's not a good starter bike for you. You're probably going to look at more of, you know, the Ninja 250 or the CBR 300, something like that. If you want to get into the cruising world of motorcycles, the Harley 883 would definitely be something I would think about. There are other options out there. You know, Honda has the Rebel series at a 300 to 500. And there's just, you know, there's just a lot of bikes out there that's also great starter bikes. But the thing about those bikes, I'll say, especially the 250s, the 300s, even the 500s, you're going to outgrow those pretty fast. And, you know, they're cheaper. So, you know, $5,000-$6,000 for something like that new. You know, I'm guessing here, but right around in that range. Where, you know, the Iron's going to run you $9,000 off the showroom floor pretty much. So it's a little bit more money. But going back to the other bikes, great starter bikes. You know, that they're small, they're light, they're not overpowered, they're not fast, so they're not going to get away from you, and it'd be a great bike to learn on. But you will outgrow it fairly quick. Probably in a season of riding it, you're going to want some more. This is where the Harley Iron comes into play. You know, one of the smaller bikes they have, granted, but at the end of the day, it's still 883 cubic inch motor, which is decent size. And you're not going to outgrow this bike as fast as you would a smaller CC bike. And also what's great about this bike is it can grow with you with some modifications. You know, like I've done the Hammer 1275 kit. With some modifications, this bike can grow right along with you. There's no reason to get another bike. So you know, your initial investment is a little bit more money. You can find them used, but they're still, you know, pretty pricey. Harleys hold their value pretty well, which is actually a great thing if you own one. But it is a good starter bike. It's a very predictable. The power's predictable throughout the RPM range. It's peppy, but it's not overly quick, so it's not going to get away from you. The weight, 580 some pounds, somewhere right around in there. It is a little on the heavy side, but once when the bike's moving, it's light as a feather once when you're riding it. And it handles corners very predictable, and it has a nice snappy feel to it when you're in the corners. So it's not, you know, some of the bigger bikes with the bigger front tires are a little slower initiating into a corner, where this one leans right over and gets into it. So yeah, I think the Harley would be, if you're wanting to get into the cruiser world of motorcycles, the Harley really would be a great beginner's bike. And not only that, like I said, man, this bike can grow with you. The only reason I would get rid of this bike is if there was just something out there that I just had to have. Other than that, this bike's a keeper. As you get comfortable on the bike and you feel like you need something bigger, it's an easy modification to turn this bike into a 1275 or a 1250, and relatively inexpensive, about $1,000–$1,500, and it turns the bike into something completely different. You got a brand new bike, basically. And that's the great thing about this, is how easy it is to modify, and the bike can just grow with you. So you can buy one bike and keep it indefinitely if you want to, just by changing a few things here or there and letting the bike grow with your ability. This bike is more than capable of doing that. Is it a good starter bike for you? It's going to depend on size. You know, you're going to have to go set on it, and depending on your frame and how big you are, you know, if you're 6'4", no, this thing's not going to fit you at all. Even with forward controls, you're going to be cramped on it. So, you know, under 6 feet, somewhere in there, yeah, it's a great bike. I love the way that it fit me. That was one of the things that drew me to it. And another thing, when you're buying a motorcycle and you're starting out, you don't want to feel intimidated on it. You want to get a bike that you're comfortable on. There's so much, when you're riding a bike, there's so much stuff going on around you and so much other stuff that you have to pay attention to in order to be safe. You want to be comfortable on the bike. You don't want to be, you know, for lack of a better term, afraid when you're on it. You want the bike to be comfortable for you. What the hell is this all about? There we go. So yeah, I don't know if this thing was coherent or not. I guess I'll find out when I get home. So yeah, at the end of the day, would I recommend the Harley Iron 883 for a starter bike? I would. And again, it's, as long as you're comfortable on the bike and it fits you properly, it's a great starter bike. That's kind of my 2 cents on that. I appreciate you guys watching me and letting me waste your time today. And if you like this video, please hit that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed, there should be a button right down there in the lower right hand corner that is going to get you all hooked up. And like always, guys, ride safe and be careful out there. Later.